Welcome! Today we are diving into a fundamental economic idea that, honestly, controls the price of just about everything you buy, from your coffee in the morning to giant multi-million-dollar business deals. It's called price elasticity of demand, and let me tell you, understanding it is basically a financial superpower. So, have you ever stopped to think about this? It's something we all do. The price of gas can shoot through the roof, and we just pay it. But if our favorite cereal goes up by 50 cents, we might just grab the store brand instead. This isn't random, you know? There's a really powerful economic force going on behind the scenes, and getting a handle on it is absolutely key to any smart financial strategy. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we're going to tackle that exact puzzle. Then I'll reveal the answer, which is this concept called elasticity. We'll get into what makes the demand for some things super stretchy, while others are rock solid. And finally, this is the best part. We'll see how businesses use this knowledge to absolutely master everything, from what you pay to how they negotiate huge contracts. All right, so let's start by really digging into that puzzle. It's all about our weirdly inconsistent reactions when prices change. This is really the heart of it, right? For certain things, a tiny little price hike can cause sales to just fall off a cliff. But for others, the price can climb and climb and climb, and we just keep on buying. So what on earth explains this difference? Well, the answer has a name, and that name is elasticity. Okay, time for the big reveal. Let's get to the solution. This whole section is about elasticity, and I'm not exaggerating when I say it's probably the single most important idea in pricing. So the official term is price elasticity of demand, or PED for short. But all that really means is it's a way to measure how sensitive we, the customers, are to price changes. It answers a simple question. How much does our desire for something change when the price tag changes? Now, the absolute best way to picture this is with a simple analogy. Just imagine that demand is a rubber band. A price change is like someone pulling on that rubber band. The question is, does it stretch really easily, or is it super stiff and hard to move? And this brings us to the two big categories. When demand is elastic, a small pull, like a little price increase, causes that rubber band to stretch a lot. People just stop buying it. But with inelastic demand, you can pull and pull with higher prices, and that rubber band barely moves. It's stiff. People keep buying. And of course, economists have a way to measure this. If the number they calculate is greater than 1, we say demand is elastic. If it's less than 1, it's inelastic. If it's exactly 1, they call that unitary. Price and demand changed by the exact same amount. And if it's 0, that's what we call perfectly inelastic. Think of something like a life-saving medicine, where demand stays the same no matter what the cost. So now we know what elasticity is, but the next big question is, why? Why are some of those rubber bands stretchy and others so stiff? Well, that brings us to the real drivers behind a product's elasticity. It turns out there are a few key factors, but you know what? They all really boil down to consumer choice. Things like substitutes, how necessary it is, how much of your budget it eats up, and even good old-fashioned brand loyalty. For now, we're going to focus on the two most powerful ones, substitutes and necessity. The first, and you could argue the most important factor of all, is the availability of substitutes. Basically, can you easily buy something else that does the same exact job? Think about coffee for a second. If the price of your favorite kind goes way up, what do? Well, you can switch to another brand, you could switch to a store brand, you could even just switch to tea. There are tons of substitutes, and that makes the demand for coffee really elastic. But what about gasoline? For most of us, there just aren't any good substitutes. We need it for our cars. So demand is super inelastic. Okay, next up is how badly you actually need the product. Is this a must-have, or is it more of a nice-to-have? A new washing machine is a perfect example of an elastic good. If the price goes up and, your old one still kind of works, you'll probably just wait. It's something you can put off. But something like life-saving medicine, say insulin, that is the absolute definition of inelastic. It's a necessity. Demand isn't going anywhere, even if the price goes way, way up. All right, now for the part that really matters. How do actual businesses and financial pros use this stuff? This is where all that theory turns into a powerful tool for making more money and winning negotiations. So, for pretty much any business, the big goal is to maximize total revenue. And that's just a simple formula. The price you charge times the number of things you sell. And it turns out, understanding elasticity is the secret to cracking this code. Now check this out. Here's the first big strategic move. If your product is elastic,
meaning people are super sensitive to the price, you can actually make more money by lowering the price. I know, it sounds crazy, but a small price drop can cause a huge flood of new customers, which sends your total revenue way up.
But here's the other side of that coin, and this is a total game changer for business strategy. If your product is inelastic, think about that essential part you make or that software everyone's company depends on, you can actually raise the price, lose just a tiny number of customers, and watch your total revenue soar. You, my friend, have pricing power.
And this idea goes way beyond just setting prices at a store. This is the absolute core of high-level business-to-business strategy and contract negotiation. If you know that what you're selling is inelastic to your client, you have immense leverage. It completely changes your negotiating position and can unlock massive profits.
And modern companies have turned this into a full-blown science. They use data analysis and AI to just crunch all of their historical sales data. This lets them figure out the precise elasticity number for every single thing they sell. And with that number, they can set the absolute perfect price on their quotes and in their contracts to get the most revenue or the biggest profit margin.
And believe me, this tool is being used everywhere. It's essential for B2B quotes, for all that dynamic pricing you see on e-commerce sites, for manufacturing, for retail, even for government policy. I mean, when a government thinks about putting a tax on something like soda or gas, they are making a massive bet based on that product's elasticity. So, at the end of the day, what this all really means is that understanding price elasticity is the difference between just guessing at a price and scientifically calculating it to have the biggest possible impact. It gives you the power to make these huge financial decisions with real confidence. So, now that you have this new way of looking at the world, take a look around you. Think about the stuff you buy every single day. Which companies do you think have really mastered this science? Which products in your own life do you think are priced absolutely perfectly to pull in the most money? The answer might just surprise you.